Coach, I know some of it may be out of y'all's hands right now, but as far as the schedule goes, where do things stand as far as releasing the schedule?
I think you're a couple weeks away from seeing that from the conference office. I think we'll get it in a couple weeks, and at that time, we'll have a couple other tweaks to our non-conference schedule to announce, so it'll all come out at one time. Tomorrow we're going to find out who we're playing in the Big 12 Challenge, but then, I'm told 2 weeks from now.
We'll go ahead and get it over to Garrick, and then we'll go to John Sokoloff. Garrick, go right ahead, buddy.
Ben, with the winter athletes in extended eligibility, how is that going to factor in your recruiting for future years?
Well, my understanding is, and I'm not sure that, our seniors will elect to come back or move on with their careers somewhere else. But if they were to elect to come back, I think they come back and they don't count against your 13 scholarships. So it's great. We have two seniors, and Abdul and Jalen, and so we'll come to that bridge at the end of the year. But it doesn't really affect the 13 scholarship amount that you have, is my understanding.
John, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. First of all, just wanted to introduce myself. I'm the new sports director here at WCBI. My name is John Sokoloff. Nice to meet you, and I hope Matt Dunaway is not riding you too hard. We worked together a little bit in Lubbock back in the day. But,
Oh, good. Pleasure.
Just wanted to introduce myself. And second of all, how have all of your guys been responding, obviously with everything going on and some turnover on your roster? Kind of what's it looked like? Have you been impressed and how have they responded?
Yeah, we're really excited about our team in terms of the progress where we are right now, considering all the things that have gone on with COVID. Starting this summer and missing a number of weeks because of the rules that you have to follow in order to get to. And I talk to my friends, for example, in California. They still haven't played 5-on-5 basketball out there, and so we're way ahead of the game in a lot of other areas in the country. And the COVID thing's been very difficult, and it is for everybody everywhere. We understand that, but especially in athletics. And so we've been really, really trying to stress that with our players. We're getting tested once a week now as a group, and then when we start playing games here in 5 weeks in one day, we'll be doing it 3 times a week the rest of the season. But I'm excited about our team. We have a good group. We've added a couple good transfers to give us some added experience in Jalen Johnson, who's a very good shooter. I think he's going to help us, in terms of shooting the ball from the perimeter. And he's doing it every day consistently. And then, J.D. Davis, who transferred from Alabama back home here. We're excited to have him. He's a strong physical presence who's got good hands, good feet, and a good feel for the game.
We'll go ahead and go over to Fayetteville, Arkansas, check in with Bob Holt. Bob, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, how you doing today?
Good, Bob.
Hey, I've seen some stories about this, contact tracing in football. You take out 10, 15 guys, whatever, it's not good, but they can still have a game. But if that were to happen in basketball, it could wipe out, a whole team, not necessarily guys who test positive, but the contact tracing. What kind of conversations have you had with the SEC or your own administration about maybe avoiding those situations? I guess Nick Saban, he tested positive, he tested negative, and he's, 3 or 4 days. Could you see that happening in basketball? Or just kind of what's your level of concern about contact tracing with a limited basketball roster?
Yeah, I think it's going to be really tough. I mean, that's why we started the season earlier, to give ourselves a little leeway to make up a game or two if we have to at the end of the season. I hope that doesn't happen. I also think the way the school year has been planned, where we're done with school prior to our first game. We have 5 weeks left of school, and then they're done till January 8th, I think it is. We come back. But I think that helps because it really kind of creates a bubble, because there's no one else going to be around here in Starkville, for our players. I guess the one concern will be when we go home, and they have a rule now that when you bring them back from Christmas, if you send them home, They have to be tested, and you have to have the results before you can actually have a practice, which makes sense. It just makes, I think, Christmas break a much more difficult. I've talked to a number of colleagues in the league that are saying that they're not going to have their guys go home because of that. I'd really like to have our players get a few days away from, basketball to spend time with their family during Christmas. I think it's an important time, so hopefully that works out and we can bring them back in time because, right after Christmas, boom, we're in the conference.
Thanks, Bob. We'll go ahead and go to Lexington and check in with Jerry Tipton. Jerry, go ahead.
Yeah, Ben, Kentucky is not having any exhibition games. The first game, no dress rehearsals. First game is the first time. I'm wondering if that's the case with you guys and how that and the whole COVID situation might affect team bonding for any team.
Well, that's the rule, Jerry. You can't have exhibition game. You can't have a scrimmage. So that's the only way we can do it right now, which makes it tough. I mean, we're going to show up November 25th, and our first experience playing against someone different than ourselves is going to be Clemson. That's really difficult, especially for a young team like ours. But it is what it is. It's the same for everybody. Team bonding, I think teams have never been closer. I mean, you have no one else that you can be with but your own team and your own teammates. You basically, if you're following, protocol, you're not out there socializing and hanging out and seeing a lot of people if you're smart, because it's everywhere. And we can see that it's coming back in a strong fashion, the virus, in terms of peaking again. I mean, we had 70,000 people one day this past weekend nationally across the country that had tested positive for COVID. I mean, it's really scary right now. And, I'm also very optimistic and hopeful that this vaccine, this first one, I think Pfizer is planning on, having millions of doses here by the end of November. And I will be the first in line to take my shot.
We'll go ahead and go back to Paul Jones, and then we'll get to Joel. So go ahead, Paul.
Coach, with DJ Stewart playing starting at 3 this year, how much, if any, does his role change compared to what he did at guard? Are there any changes at all?
Yeah, he'll play minutes at the 3, he'll play minutes at the 2, and he even will play minutes potentially some at the 1. I mean, today in practice I am playing the 1 some, so we can mix up and mix and match. We'll have a lot of different options in terms of how we play him, but the biggest difference is who you match up, who you guard, and keeping that person off the glass. For him, he's still, going to be, playing the same way offensively, whether he's the 2 or the 3.
Go ahead, Joel.
Hey, Ben, I know last time we talked with you, you talked a lot about your backcourt and things. In the front court, of course, with no Reggie, I guess, Tulu would be playing a big role there and things. But just, I guess, how confident are you in the production level of your front court and replacing Reggie and the role, I guess, that Tulu will have to step into, and Quentin Post and those guys? Just how are you feeling about that group right now?
I'm excited about him. I think Tolu is he's going to be playing major minutes for the first time in his college career. Played about 12 minutes a game behind a really good player as a 5 at Western Kentucky in Charles Bassey. Last year he redshirted with us, and now he's playing. But he's had a great offseason, an outstanding, productive spring, summer, and fall. He's our leading rebounder in practice. So we've had thus far, I think, 7 practices. But we've kept stats prior to that because we had for 3 weeks, we had 8 hours a week on the court. So we were going 4 days, 5 days a week for an hour and a half, keeping stats. He's our leading rebounder by far of anybody on our team right now, both at the offensive end and overall. But can we replace Reggie Perry? We're not going to replace Reggie. Reggie's getting drafted in the NBA. He was the co-MVP of the SEC according to the AP, first team all-league, all everything. He's a hard guy to replace, as is Robert Woodard, as is Tyson Carter. But as is Nick. So we lost a lot. There's no question. We lost a heck of a lot in those four guys. But I feel good. I mean, getting JD Davis, Javian Davis late was a big boost because we have an experienced guy who's played in the SEC, who's actually put up some really good numbers in SEC games. And so, picking him up late was a big boost. Between him, Quinton, Abdul, and Tolu, we've got four guys there that are big and have size, and then Derek Fountain would be our fifth. And like every year, I tell the media, every year at this time, one of the huge keys to our team, as it is to every team, is staying healthy. Something that we don't control other than how we, deal with weightlifting and recovery and sleeping and nutrition, doing everything we can to give ourselves the best chance to be, healthy.
We'll go ahead and turn it back over to Garrick, and then we'll go to Jerry after Garrick. And we've got time here for a couple more.
Not quite a week into practice, but what have you seen from the freshmen that have come in, and how many of them could you see playing a role for you guys this season?
As I mentioned, Garrick, we've been practicing, just like we're doing now, only an hour and a half versus 2 hours and 15 minutes now for the last, month. 3 weeks plus this last week was our first week. And this is the second week now. We started official practice the 14th. But we practiced on the 12th and 13th for 2 hours because we had 8 hours that week to use before we got to Wednesday. The first day of official practice was actually a day off for us. You have 42 days to practice 30 times once official practice starts. So I've seen our freshmen a lot. They're improving. They're getting better. The guy that's really been coming on and doing a lot of positive things for his team the last couple weeks has been Cameron Matthews out of Olive Branch. He's a very good defender, a good rebounder. He's the best matchup every day, for example, guarding DJ Stewart. No one else on our team comes close to what he does defensively, trying to match up with DJ. And he's a guy who can play multiple positions defensively. He can guard 1 through 4. He's 6'6", 225 pounds, really strong, handles it well, makes good decisions with the ball, does all the little things, glue things to help your team win. So he's done a great job, and I'm really excited about his progress. Davon, we've been expecting from the beginning to play an important role, which he will. And then, the other freshmen, I'm excited about Keandre Montgomery's jump shot. He came in here shooting a set shot, and he's been shooting that set shot, his high school set shot. That doesn't work at this level. I've really got him to bought in the last week or so of shooting his jump shot. And yesterday, he was 3 for 4 from 3, shooting a jump shot. And that's, his future to be a really good player at this level of basketball. But, I like all the freshmen. I really like our class. Good kids, hard workers, great work ethic, and they've got great leadership to follow. So it's really been positive.
Go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, Ben, I wondered about freshmen in general and whether they, since they don't know college basketball, this is their introduction to it. Is it relatively easier for them to adjust to the new reality now? Or is their immaturity, relatively speaking, makes it more difficult?
Well, Jerry, where you are, you don't get to see real freshmen. You get to see the top 20 freshmen every year. So your experience of dealing with freshmen is very skewed because you're dealing with, the Bams and the Murrays and, these guys that are, the heroes of the world. But most freshmen, have a big jump to make between that, freshman year in college from high school. Just learning. Learning how to work, the work ethic it takes, and, getting bigger and stronger and getting a body. We have had guys that have already put on 15 pounds since they've arrived in a couple of our freshmen in Fountain and in Montgomery. And they need to continue to develop those bodies and grow as players. But I think it's a difficult adjustment going from high school to major college basketball. playing against men. That's where, when you see what, John has done at Kentucky is just amazing because they're dependent on the freshmen every year, but they are the best freshmen every year in the country, without a doubt, year in and year out. Most freshmen take that year. Like Iverson Molinar is a great example. We were really excited about Iverson a year ago. I thought he had a really good, solid freshman year. The biggest jump you see in a player's development over a 4-year period is between their freshman and sophomore year. He has improved so much. He is so much better right now than he was a year ago at this time through that year of growing, being coached, great listening, unbelievable work ethic. You guys will be, I think, very impressed with him when you see how much he's grown in 1 year as a player. And, so most freshmen take that. I mean, it's just how it is. It's a really exceptional freshman. I've had a few. Kevin Love, he was first team All-American as a freshman. That's hard to do. I had a kid, Bob Mute, who played on a really good team. He's in his 12th year in the NBA. Had an unbelievable freshman year. Drew Holiday had a very good freshman year. He was the number 1 player in the country coming out. But it's very unique to have those guys.
We'll go ahead and wrap it up today with the last question, going back to Fayetteville and Bob Holt. Bob, go ahead.
Coach, I had an Arkansas question for you, if that's okay. Eric Musselman's been pretty good at the transfer portal. He kind of does it like he's an NBA coach, kind of turning his roster over. But they had 3 senior grad transfers. I think that might be a record even for Eric, that Justin Smith from Indiana, Jalen Tate from Northern Kentucky, Vance Jackson from New Mexico. Are you familiar with those guys?
Yeah, the kid from Indiana is really, really talented. We tried to get involved. I actually spoke to him on the phone when he was put in the portal and didn't really get a lot of traction with him. But I'm really impressed with him. I think he's really, I think he started the majority of the games in Indiana. I was kind of questioning, why are you leaving? It's not like you're not getting playing time and you're not getting shots. And, I didn't understand it. But I can tell you this, he's a very good player. He would start at the vast majority of Division I schools across the country. Very impressed with him and his skill package. He can shoot threes, yet he's got size, he's got a great body. He will be an immediate impact guy that's going to be a huge boost for their program, no question.
Those other 2 guys, Vance Jackson or Jalen Tate, do you know anything about that?
I don't. I really don't. But I'm sure they're good players.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I appreciate it.
You bet.
Hey, thanks, everybody. We'll probably do this again here in a couple of weeks with Coach once we know our SEC schedule and release the last part of our schedule. So I would anticipate getting another Zoom invitation from us here in early November. So thank you, guys. We appreciate you joining us today.
Hey, thanks, guys. 5 weeks in 1 day. Here we go. See you later.